Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, which planet you're on, wherever you are on this planet. Welcome to today's sharing of Harmonize2Energize. My name is Terry Matthews. I've been a JIN SHIN JYUTSU practitioner for some 30 years and in between taught self-help. And these days I enjoy sharing some of that self-help and stories with other practitioners as part of Harmonize2Energize. And if there's anybody else who wants to come on, just like Shari, who everyone was really wowed to have on Harmonize2Energize last Friday, you can always, drop me a little line. It's just great to meet all these different people. And Shari's just been telling me, she's got a lot to offer us, so she could be here for a month. But anyway, besides that, welcome if you're absolutely brand new. JIN SHIN JYUTSU, briefly, is an art of harmonizing life energy, sometimes known as chi or ki or prana, as it moves or doesn't through energy pathways in the body. Some people are more familiar with what the acupuncturists call them. They call them meridians. We call them organ function energy pathways. And there's about 12 to 17 of them, something like that. And they're maintained or harmonized or regulated by what we call safety energy locks. And that's the equivalent of an adjustment, like a resistor in an electric circuit. It allows a certain flow of quantity and vibration, or disallows according to blockages, my friends, blockages. In JIN SHIN JYUTSU, like in lots of other understandings, we can block our energy flow by our thoughts, our words, and our deeds. And these energy locks, as we place our palms of our hands on them, back of our hands, thumbs, tips of our fingers, they allow us to release the blockages. And there's 26 of them, left and right of the spine, okay? And 3 in each arm. So, without further ado, I'm not going to speak for very much longer, except to say it's a great privilege always to share JIN SHIN JYUTSU. When Mary Burmeister, who was the master that brought JIN SHIN JYUTSU to the West, came from Japan to live in California, she was pretty much, she had her family, but she went out there, she was the pioneer, and she taught what she had learned from Master Jiro Murai. And then, Mary, from my experience, I wouldn't have said she was the extrovert. She certainly could when she wanted to be. I think she was a pretty balanced individual. But she went out there and she was actually coaxed into teaching JIN SHIN JYUTSU. It was like one of those happenstances that happened. Whether she planned it the way it flowed, I don't know. But she brought with her an amazing amount of wisdom, published textbooks, self-help books. In fact, JIN SHIN JYUTSU self-help is possibly the most extensive form of self-help in the energy field, certainly that I've ever come across. And I studied shiatsu and other forms of energy work, and they have their self-help, but not as much and in such depth as the ones I've seen from Mary Burmeister, Mary Eno Burmeister. Okay, so without further ado, welcome back, Shari Beckton from Saskatchewan.
That pot's burning because the last bit of coffee drinks.
Please mute yourself. Here we go. I'm going to mute.
But it's not working.
I haven't said anything yet.
Yeah, so I'm muting people as
Okay.
As I find them.
Hi, everybody. It's Shari Beckton podcasting with you today. And I'm going to leap off of what Terry said. And in JIN SHIN JYUTSU, he said thought, word, deed. And for us, that has to do with the unmanifested energy, which is our thoughts, to manifesting energy, which is our words, to deeds, which is the physical. It's happening right here and now. And so on that unmanifested level, we have the main supervisor, vertical harmonizing energy. We have the left and right supervisor energies, and each one of those, so main central goes down the front, up the back, it's our spine, down the center of our body. That's the main central, and that's the flow of that energy. And then at safety energy lock 1, that is the birthplace of the supervisors. And so we have a left supervisor and we have a right supervisor. They go down the front and up the back, and down the front and up the back. There is a crossover at the 4s where left crosses over and becomes right supervisor, and right crosses over and becomes left supervisor. So there is always communication, but we have what's called the diagonal mediator, which is born at safety energy lock 3, which is just up here at the top of our shoulders, just behind where 11 sits. Safety energy lock 11 sits. And its role is to cross the body, going from left to right to left to right, and from right to left to right to left. So it crosses and it brings information from the left side to the right side, and from the right side to the left side, from the top to the bottom, from the front to the back. It's that communicator. It's all about relationships. And so those are the 3 key ingredients that creates our unmanifested energy. And the reason why I say that, and I talk to you about that, is in the hand, that relationship is created in the middle finger, and it doesn't matter which hand you're talking about, but on the hand, the central finger, the 3rd finger, is a representative. It's our relationship to the main central, down the front, up the back, down the front, up the back. And then we have left and right supervisors, which is down the front, up the back, down the front, up the back. And our thumb and little finger are our diagonal mediators. They are that relationship communication between left and right. So their energy goes across. So that's just one representation at the highest level of unmanifested energy. And so if you need help at that level, then you can go, okay, I need help with my main central. I need help with energy moving down my body. I have something stuck in my head, or I have a pain stuck in my shoulders, or I have a sore throat. I need that energy to move down my body. I can hold my thumb on this side because this is the descending energy. I can hold my main central, helping all descending energy on main central. Now, if my back is bothering me, or my hips are bothering me, or I've got a headache in the back of my head, I can hold. I need help getting that energy to ascend. So I can hold the back of my finger, and I can help all of the stuff on the main central level. Now, I'm sure you've heard people who say, you know, whenever I hurt myself, I always hurt myself on the right side, or I always hurt myself on the left side. You know, if I'm going to stub my toe, I'm always going to stub my left toes. If I twist my ankle, I always twist my ankle on the left side. Or if I, you know, fall, I always land on my left hand. Whenever something happens on one side of our body versus the whole thing, you can look at it as a supervisor asking for a little extra, yoo-hoo, I'm here, I could use a little extra gift here, I'm running out of steam, I've got some issues going on, help me. So once again, we can help the supervisors, which is index finger and ring finger, descending energy by holding it on the palm surface. Or if we want to help ascending energy, we can hold it on the back side of our hand. And if we are having relationship issues with people, with ourselves, we can always use the diagonal mediator. If we need to descend that energy, we hold descending energy, whether it's the thumb or the little finger. Now, just as another little first aid, if you have insomnia, what I have been taught and what I've used, because after surgery, I had insomnia. I was in a hypervigilant state. So every little sound, what was that? What was that? So it led to insomnia. You hold your thumb. So you hold your thumb 20 minutes. You hold your little finger 20 minutes. You hold your other thumb 20 minutes and your other little finger. And if you haven't fallen asleep in between one of these fingers, you know, you will by the end of it. I never ever made it. I never made it past one hand. Because you're kind of clock watching and going, okay, how many minutes has that been? And then all of a sudden you don't know and you're just gone. So it works. But that's that relationships, right? And it's our relationship to sleep. It's our relationship to food. You know, diagonal meteors are a relationship to everything. What we choose to wear that day, how we sleep in the bed, how we communicate with our family, how we communicate with our pets, how we communicate with the person who puts gas in our tank. It's every single relationship that you can even imagine. That all has to do with diagonal mediator. So all of our relationships, no matter what, can always use a little boost. So that's the first thing that I wanted to tell you. And then from that unmanifested energy, we start to manifest. We start to create and layer in our body through the depths. And that's that first handout that Terry sent to you guys. And this talks about depths. And what this picture shows for each of you, we talked briefly about it last time, is how to get rid of worry fast. And so that was the thumb being worry, the index finger being fear, the middle finger being anger, the ring finger being sadness, and the little finger being trying to. So on your paper, if you want, you can put first depth beside worry. You can put fourth depth beside fear. You can put third depth beside anger. You can put second depth beside sadness, and you can put fifth depth beside trying to. And here in the middle of the hands, it says diaphragm and umbilicus, and that is sixth depth. So if you're worried all you have to do. The quickie is holding your thumb. Now, I've just used the word quickie, and how we think of that, or how I think of that, is that if I'm in the midst, if I'm feeling, if I'm experiencing anger, I need help right now, not later, right now. And so I can access that anger and help it immediately by gripping and holding my middle finger. Now, after the anger is, that momentary anger is past, but I know it's an attitude that kind of clings to me, and I want to work on it. In textbook 1, Mary talks to us about and shows us how to do a longer form for all of the different attitudes. And I'm going to go over that with you so you can notate it down. So this picture shows the fingers to grab while you're in it. But after that experience has passed, and you know that you are still holding on to the attitude and you want to harmonize it and bring about its harmony into your life, then what we're going to do is I'm going to show you. So this is the finger for worry. That is your thumb. And so that's the quickie. We call it the quickie. The long version of it from the self-help book is thumb, middle, and little. And so while you're not experiencing it and you're relaxing and you have time to deal with the attitudes of being preoccupied, or you know that you tend to run anxious, you're always anticipating the other shoe to drop, you just feel that you're not here, you're not present, you're not in this moment. You can do this form, the longer form, and that would be like holding your thumb for about 5 minutes, holding your middle finger for 5 minutes, holding your little finger for 5 minutes. And it doesn't matter whether you hold your left hand or you hold your right hand and you go through those fingers, holding your thumb, your middle, or your little, and your little. What you may find is that one side will feel more comfortable to you, that it just feels natural to hold the right thumb and the right middle finger and the right little finger, as opposed to, and so I suggest try both hands and see which one is most comfortable to you and feels right to you, and that's the one you do, because it doesn't really matter which side we do, because of that supervisor energy and that diagonal mediator energy, which does the dance. It's going to take the energy from, if all I do is my right side, it is still going to move that energy into my left side. So the left side, I'm not ignoring it. I'm just allowing the energy to flow from the side that I'm comfortable and what I want to do and what's easiest for me, which is what JIN SHIN is all about. JIN SHIN JYUTSU is all about. It's about finding that comfort and reconnecting with our history. And that reconnection is, when I say our history, it's our source. It's that highest level of who we are when we are at our highest and best, when we are connected and we are present and we are in our beingness. And so why rock the boat? Why work with something that makes us uncomfortable? And, you know, we think, well, I don't want to sit here and hold this for 5 minutes. I don't know, but oh, I can sit here and hold this for half an hour. I'm fine. You know, so it's about finding that comfort for yourself and figuring out which side works best for you and working through that. And you might find that after doing, you know, a month on this side, you go, oh, I'm going to just check the other side again and see, and find that that actually now feels comfortable, and this feels just as good as doing it the other way. So on your thumb here, make a notation going thumb, middle, and little. And that's what you'll use when you have spare time. Then we have fear. And so fear in Self-Help Textbook 1 is our thumb, our index finger, and our little finger. So the difference is, instead of middle, we're going to hold the index finger. So it's thumb, index, and little. And once again, the side is up to you, or you can do both. No rules. And so if we're experiencing some fear, if we're experiencing some confusion, some frustration about our expectations, we're feeling critical or timid, or scared or afraid, you know, this is the quickie. Just holding that index finger to help you get through what needs to be gotten through. Because we need to move out of that experience right away. There we go. And so then the long form of it, so that you can put this down besides your fear finger, is thumb, index, and little. And then our anger finger, when we're feeling angry or frustrated, irritable, indecisive, mad, you know, we're ready to take somebody's head off. This is the finger we need. So we hold this finger. But when we're ready to deal with that anger, because we're not feeling particularly angry at that moment, but we know it's something we need to deal with, the way we deal with anger in the long form is we start with the little finger. We move to the ring finger. And then we move to the middle finger. So on your anger finger, write down little, ring, and middle. And then if we're in our next finger is sadness, and that's our ring finger. And so if we're experiencing sadness, if we're experiencing grief, and it can be grief over, yes, the grief of a lost one, but it could be the grief over missing a job promotion. It could be, the person before you in the grocery line bought your favorite dessert and there's none left. and you feel grief over that. A sense of sadness. Oh, I guess I'm not getting that. We have many, many little griefs every single day. And so while we're experiencing it, while we're in it, we can hold that ring finger and it will help us move through that. And then when we want to take our time and work through our grief, we can work through it first by holding our thumb. And then we move to the index finger. And then we move through to the next finger, which is the middle finger. And then we move through and we hold the ring finger. So it's those 4 fingers that help us work our way through sadness and grief. And, sadness and grief is one of the biggest the organs of, so this is second depth. So second depth is the organ function energy that belongs to this is lung and large intestine. And sadness is where we can't let go. We're stuck. We're stuck in the past. And our lung function energy is responsible for our breathing, right? So ask yourself, are you just taking in enough oxygen just to survive? Or are you breathing deeply? Because breath is actually what heals us. And we need that deep diaphragmatic breath, that big breath of life. And we get it through our lungs, which is the small breath of life. But also our large intestine is our elimination organ. It's what says, let go. Let go. And, if we can't exhale, we're not letting go. And if we can't go to the bathroom, we're not letting go. We're holding on. And we talk about positive numbers that come in and help our depths get better. And you'll see that on the quality of depths sheet. And the energy of safety energy lock 9, which tells the story of out of the ending is a new beginning. And so it actually puts the period to our grief, our sadnesses. And so safety energy lock 9 really helps with sadness. And so we tend to carry on a whole all of our sadnesses and griefs, and we don't let go of those precious burdens, which are our 11. So this is a really good one for everybody to work with. And it's just going through thumb, index, middle, and ring. And so we come to the last little finger, which is our trying to. And that's all about pretense. So it's the laughing on the outside while you're crying and nobody's getting it, right? It's where people are driven by perfection, and not only for themselves, but you had better be perfect at what you're doing too, because I will criticize you and I will make sure and judge you and make sure that you do it right and you're doing it my way. That's when that attitude is definitely in need of some harmony, in need of some love, in need of some joy. Safety energy lock 15 is a good one to help unlock 5th depth projects, because it's about washing our heart with joy and laughter. And it's very easy for anybody to do. Much as holding the little finger will help you in that quick moment, so will putting your hands in your front pockets, because safety interlock 15 lives right at the groin. And so you can just slip your hands into your pocket, nobody will know, and then all of a sudden you'll find yourself lightening up and allowing that light to come into the heart. So how we deal with helping our judgment and our competitiveness and our pretense and our perfectionism for this is, while we're experiencing it, is holding that little finger or holding our 15s. But the longer version of it is to hold our little finger and then our ring finger. And it doesn't matter, once again, which hand, which side. At this point, it's just holding them. And so that is part of this, which I want you to hold on to. And I don't know if you can see it in yours, but when you look at it, we have organ functions right there. We have spleen and stomach. And when we're worried, who doesn't have an upset stomach, right? There's correlation throughout all of this. And so when our stomach, when we have digestion issues, heartburn, acid reflux, you can think of it that way, upset stomach, nausea, you can hold this finger. Or if you're, spleen is our furnace. It's where we take the light of the day and into our solar panel, and it makes energy for us. It creates it's our vitamin D. When we need some of that, we can hold those fingers, or once again, we can do the long haul and get that charge that we need. The other thing to think of, instead of getting caught up in what about, and running through a list of diagnostic stuff for you guys, the idea is to think about, first, we know that the thumb is our first depth, and it's going to help our attitude of worry. And it's also going to help our skin surface from anything outside. So it's our boundary between ourselves and everything else, our clothes, anything that might come along us. It is that boundary, it is that protective surface. So anytime that we're in need of protection, anytime we feel our boundaries being charged, anytime we're having stomach issues or lack of energy or too much. So in JIN SHIN JYUTSU, we are looking at balance. And balance is not enough, nor is it too much. It's balance. It's right there, smack in the center. It's just right. And so when we are at either extreme in anything, you can imagine that you are out of balance, because you're swinging here, you're swinging there, and you're not centered, you're not in harmony, you're not in balance. And so when that happens for anything, you can always go to stomach and spleen. This is our kidneys and bladder function energy, the organ, but also that whole flow, that whole energy flow. This is liver function energy and gallbladder function energy. Sadness is, as I said before, our lung function energy and our large intestine energy. And this is our heart function energy and small intestine function energy. So you can think about what those actually represent. Like when I say stomach, not only is it our actual physical stomach, but our stomach is responsible for digestion. And so, yes, it's about what I'm eating, it's digesting that, but it's digesting what all of my senses are taking in. And so we have to look at a broader picture when we're looking at our organ functions and see it from not only what that organ actually does, but take it out to the scope of mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, and energetic. So that's kind of fun. The other thing that we then have is we have the creation of our safety energy locks. Each depth is responsible for specific safety energy locks. Like they're actually born in that depth and responsible for taking care of that depth. And so our worry finger is responsible for safety energy locks 1 through 4. They are created in this depth and they look after this depth. In our fear finger, safety energy lock 23, it only has one safety energy lock that is created in this depth that it looks after. So it's a pretty powerful safety energy lock. Then our anger is responsible for safety energy locks 16 through 22. They're created in this depth and look after and harmonize this. Then in sadness, we have energy locks 5 through 15 being created in this depth and looking after it. And in our 5th depth, we have 24, 25, and 26. And in 6th depth, they're responsible for it all, 0 through to 26. And 0 is that cosmic egg of the main central, up, going down, and then up, creating that oval. And then we get into finger facilitators. So if any of you have the chart, the safety energy lock chart that has the 26 safety energy locks, you see in the center of it, you'll see 2 bodies, a front and a back. And then in the center of that, they'll be listed 1 through 26. And so like, take the first one, safety energy lock 1. It's located at our knees, on the inside of our knees. Now, it'll go knee, it'll go 1, and then it'll go thumb. And so that becomes what's called the finger facilitator for that finger. So if we want to help the 1, we can hold the thumb. So remember how I said, this is our fear finger, this is our 4th depth, this is birthplace is safety energy lock 23. Well, if you were to go down that safety energy lock chart, you would find that its finger facilitator is the little finger. And so if I need to boost my safety energy lock 23, or my fourth depth, I can hold this finger, or I can hold my little finger, because it facilitates safety energy lock 23 and boosts its energy. So each of these fingers all are responsible for 5 finger facilitations and 5 different energy locks. Now, some of them, like one, which lives in the thumb and is a facilitator and is facilitated in the thumb, you know, gets a little extra zhuzh. When you're holding the thumb, you're holding the one as a one, but you're also holding it as its finger facilitator. So I wanted to share that with you guys as well. And in the hands, I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but we have bust line, waistline, and hip line. And so the reason why I bring it up is bust line is responsible for any of our mental or emotional projects that we have. And so if I want, so let's say I'm angry, I can hold my whole finger. But if I know that it's a mental emotional anger, I can work on just holding my tip. I can laser down. This is why I love JIN SHIN JYUTSU. It helps me get right to where I want to go and what I want to do. And it's very easy. And yet the most simplest thing is I can just hold my finger and I know I'm getting bust line, waistline, and hip line. I'm getting it all. But if I really want to focus in on a specific area, I can do that. So bust line is our mental emotional projects. So if we're having, if it's mental emotional, we can work on just the first part here. If we are concerned about waistline, if we're stuck in worldly thoughts and in our desires, right, then that is our middle, right? So we can, I can focus in, if I'm unhappy with the way my daily living is going on, then like my job makes me so angry. I could just burst, right? I can focus in, I can tunnel down, and I can hold that middle finger, and I can help my daily living. I can help my will, because this is where our will is. This is where our worldly concerns are. And then if I'm so angry, my head just wants to explode. Like I actually feel the pounding in my head. Very physical, very visceral. I can get right to the physical aspect of it. And I can hold that hip line, which is all about the physical body. I can tunnel down and I can get right to that physical body and help that. So that's just another way that you can help yourself. I think I've given you guys a lot to think about. And so, Terry, why don't we, while we still have some time, let them ask some questions. Unlike last time. You're muted. Muted. You're still muted. Yep. There we go.
Probably for a good reason. When things like that happen, there's normally a good reason. You know what, folks? I don't know about you, but this feels like how Harmonize2Energize has expanded. And today, it's more as if perhaps for those of you that have been long-time students, revision, and for those that are not, they're new, expansion. Oh, this JIN SHIN JYUTSU is much more than I'd even thought. So it's been very just engaging, just very engaging. So thank you, Shari. Has anybody got any?
There is a question.
There is.
Is there a finger sequence for 6 depth palm? And the truth is no, because 6 depth does not go out of harmony. Because 6 depth comes directly from source. And it's the energy that feeds us. So quickly, in JIN SHIN JYUTSU, we start with 9th depth, which is the no thing, but it's really the everything. It's the primordial essence that is the life source for everything, but it's not defined. It's nothing because it hasn't had any definition yet. And then 8th depth becomes the spark, or sometimes it's called the dot. It's that moment of consciousness in the beginning. You know, it's the start of consciousness. It's the start of creation. It's the start of where taking that primordial essence of the 9th depth comes into existence, comes into something tangible. And then it goes to the 7th depth, and 7th depth is that eternal light that is the source of life. It's the energy that feeds you and me. It's the energy that sees the creation of our table, sees the creation of our clothes, sees the creations of cats and dogs and trees and flowers and suns and the moon and the galaxies. And from that comes the 6th depth, which is our personal spark. Okay? And out of the 6th depth becomes the 5 depths that actually creates our physical being. So we've got skin deep, which is, skin deep, which is 2nd depth. 3rd depth is our blood essence. 4th depth is our muscle, and 5th depth is bone. So we have from the surface to the deepest part of our being, which is bone. And that's the 5 depths. And the 6th depth is just this energy that keeps circulating us and feeding us. It's what helps us always come back to harmony. It's what we tap into to come back into harmony. It's our own personalized little source of energy of the 7th depth that we can access right now. Accessing it right now. So 6th depth never goes out of harmony. We don't have an attitude for it.
I was just gonna say, you know, Mary does mention in Self-Help Book 3, if you want, you know, all the fingers together,
yeah,
palms.
Most definitely.
Yeah. The facilitator for 6th depth, as I understand, is the umbilicus, okay, and the diaphragm. They can be engaged in the center of the palm of the hand. So you can do that, folks. You can put palm to palm and you can prayer position. If that helps understand that relationship to the whole. What Shari was saying is absolutely right. it's there. The six
Yeah.
is there. But if you want to engage that on the fingers, palm to palm, fingers to fingers, is my understanding from Self-Help Book 3.
Yeah, I would agree, but it doesn't really go out of harmony.
That's an interesting one.
Because
Yeah.
we don't have a 6-depth attitude, really, except joy.
It's all of them.
Except joy. But
It's all of them.
But if your system, you can also tell if you're doing this, if you find yourself holding your hands like this, it is your system's way of telling you, I am out of gas. There's nothing in the tanks. I am so fatigued that even I can't even really access my 6th depth right at the moment. I can't get that personal energy that I need that sparks me. And so, yes, go here or here or here. However you need to hold and get those palms together, do that. Any other questions?
I didn't mean to interrupt there.
Oh, that was a good one. That was good though. Thank you very much, Terry.
Yeah, I remember Carlos Gutierrez once saying, if 6, and those of you that are familiar with Jimi Hendrix, if 6 turned out to be 9, I don't mind. Like 6 upside down is 9, and 9th depth, my understanding, that's the no thing, that's the nothing, that's the vacuum. And as Shari said, 6th depth is bringing that into form bit by bit. So yes, that is no attitude. I'd love to have that discussion sometimes, and I don't know if I said this to you, Shari, but I'm thinking of having a panel, so maybe 3 or 4 people from, people that are brand new or people that have studied for a little while, and we can discuss some of those areas, because there are different perspectives which sometimes make you go, well, maybe or maybe not. And I'll just say this quickly, because this is not my show. Mary B was still an eternal student. Who knows where she would have gone had she lived and had not had her accident.
Yep.
In the same way, who knows where Jimi Hendrix would have gone had he not gone in 1970.
Yeah.
So, I'm just adding that just to be mischievous.
Oh, I know. Some of the instructors say that there's the start of a third textbook.
Right. Right.
So there's another book out there that was a little bit more philosophical.
Right.
Wasn't caught up in the minutia. And I guess that would be the one thing that I would like to bring and share with all of you is, don't get caught up in the minutia. Don't get caught up in the labels, or trying to create that list of, like, under 1st depth, create a list of everything, anything and everything that could go wrong. But look to the bigger picture. Look to, so 1st depth, stomach is involved. You want to look to anything that involves digestion on every single level, mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, energetic. You want to look at digestion. Small intestine is all about assimilating what we've just taken in. And how do we do that? And large intestine is, okay, we've digested, we've assimilated, we're going to keep what works for us, and we're going to eliminate that which doesn't. We're letting go. We're no longer holding on to everything. just as an aside, once again, because Jin Shin Jyutsu is about experience, it's about life. My very first Jin Shin Jyutsu class, I was such an eager beaver, and I wanted to take it all in. I wanted to digest and understand and know everything. And I took scrupulous notes. And, I mean, it was a perfect storm. Anita was it was her first time teaching. And so she wanted to make sure that we had everything. And so she was like giving us everything. So, she had verbal diarrhea, like seriously, like she was just giving it to us all. And we were making these lists of every single thing that first depth would help, or holding the thumb, everything it would help. And for me, I was trying to retain everything. So I don't think, I didn't have a bowel movement for that whole 5 day class. I was like stuffed. And I was physically, emotionally, energetically, mentally stuffed. Because I was so passionate about this. I just loved Jin Shin Jyutsu, and I just wanted to know it all. And I wanted to keep it all fresh. I wanted to be able to come home, and I wanted to be able to work on my mom and my dad and my brother and my friends. And I wanted this so bad. I wanted to know it all, and I wanted to keep it front and center, like right here, right smack dab in front of my face. I was so happy when I had a poop. And I was able to actually let go and understand, that I don't have to hold it all. I don't have to know it all. I don't have to hold it all within me. Once you start working with Jin Shin Jyutsu and you start playing and holding your fingers, if that is all you can do and you can't get to, you can't get to safety energy lock 9 because it's stuck here on the back of my scapula, I know that I have 9 lives here. I can hold my 9 this way. I know that the thumb is a finger facilitator for the 9. I have so many ways to access absolutely everything that I need to know about Jin Shin Jyutsu within my hands. And so do you.
I think there's one more question. Time is moving on. Do you want to take it, or do
Sure.
we want?
You bet. Love questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can pedal back to small intestine here if we want. What happens if I hold my center of the palm when ready to fall asleep, and I do indeed fall asleep holding it? There you go.
Do you know what? You'll either keep your hands like that, or when you've had enough, they will slide apart and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of Jin Shin Jyutsu. I go to bed holding safety energy locks. I go to bed holding fingers, and I wake up in a totally different position, and I'm holding something totally different than when I started. And I was asleep, so I don't, I'm sleeping like this, and then all of a sudden my hand is in my back when I wake up, and I'm like, how did that happen? When did that happen? Doesn't matter.
Harry,
Hello?
may I ask the question? I have one question for Shari from last week.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Could you repeat and tell us for the allergic reactions and MSG? I know,
Sure.
right? Yeah, tell us,
Sure.
please.
This one, you do it this way. It's your right hand on the back of your neck, on safety and on left safety energy lock 12.
Yes.
Okay, and so think of this as your cervical. This is your neck,
Yeah.
right here where the head would sit.
Mm-hmm.
That safety energy lock 4. At the most indented part of our neck is where safety energy lock 12 lives.
Mm-hmm.
And right where our neck
11.
would join our start of our shoulder
Yeah.
is where 11 would live.
Yeah.
And so I take my right hand and I put it on my left 12 with my fingers pointing down
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. And what happens with the left hand?
You know what? I would tell them, hold your 1, right? Because obviously we need something to let go of. We need something to descend. 1 is the prime mover, and we're looking to move something because they're stuck in something, right? They're stuck in an allergic reaction and we want it gone. So if you feel the need that you have to have your hand do something, I would hold the 1.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, we're the top of the hour +1. Once more, thank you, Shari. That was wonderful. So much information, yet very clearly expressed.
And I still have a few more pages yet to go.
Oh yeah. So, isn't it amazing?
Come back.
Yeah.
That's why I said I could come back for a month of Saturday, a month of Friday.
Absolutely. This is great because at certain periods it's been like a desert, and not many people have been able to step up and present. And here I have Shari, who just can't wait to present. This is good to know. We've got great opportunities to expand on what Shari says at a future point. But maybe she's sown the seed, because all of a sudden I've got this deluge, and so next week I do have another presenter.
No worries.
And then I think the following week I have one, and I think I got 3 presenters in a row.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, 3 from different communities. Oh yeah.
Say one quick thing. I also gave you the depth quality charts. And so it talks about the different things, and all of these things can go on your hands, and we can discuss them another time.
All right, I'm gonna.
If you guys wanting more, you'll ask me back.